Okay, this will be part 2 of the Unit 5 test review. In number 9, you're being asked to write the vertex form equation of the following parabola. All right, it opens up or down, and the vertex is at 5, 0, and passes through the point 8, negative 9. So remember that the vertex form is y equals a times x minus h squared plus k. Now in this example, we are already given the vertex, so we can replace h and k with 5, 0, and then we know it passes through the point 8, 9. Well, 8, 9 would be our x and our y that we could replace in this equation as well, or in the vertex form. So we're going to be replacing the h and the k. That would be here. I'm sorry, that would be the h and the k. Pretty obvious. So let's go ahead and plug that in. The first thing we know is that it would be y equals a times, and then x minus the 5, and then plus k, which is 0. So we don't really need to write 0. So we could just put y equals a times x minus 5. Well, now we're going to replace y and x with the x and y that we were given, the point that it goes through. So we have an equation that says a negative 9 equals a, which we don't know, then x, which is 8, and then minus 5, the x value of the vertex, squared. So now we need to go ahead and just work out this equation to solve for a. So we have negative 9 equals a times 3 squared. That's 8 minus 5, which is 3, and then we have to square that. So we have negative 9 equals, and then 3 squared is 9, so that's 9a. Again, the 3 times 3 is 9, times a is 9a. And then to solve for a, we divide by 9. And negative 9 divided by positive 9 is negative 1. So a is negative 1. Well, if a is negative 1, then we can take that and plug that in to our vertex form of the equation, replacing a, and then we have our equation. So y equals negative 1. I'm just going to put a negative, and then x minus 5 squared. I think I forgot that one there. So that would be the equation of the parabola that has a vertex of 5, 0 and goes through the point 8, negative 9. So in number 10, you're also asked to write an equation. It goes through the vertex, or it has a vertex of negative 5, negative 4, and it passes through the point negative 4, negative 6. So we are using the vertex form, y equals a times x minus h squared plus k. Now the hk is given in where it tells you the vertex. So this is h and this is k. And then the x and y is the negative 4, negative 6. So one thing I would notice on this one, be careful, the h is negative 5. So it's not going to be 8 minus 5. It's going to be 8 minus negative 5, which is plus 5. So if I were to just start with the vertex, it would be y equals a times x plus 5 squared, and then minus 4. Because the k is negative 4, I could put plus negative 4 or just write minus 4. But now I'm going to go ahead and replace the y with negative 6 and the x with negative 4. And I have an equation that I can solve for a. So this one specifically has a y of negative 6. And that's equal to a times. And the x value is negative 4. And then plus 5 squared minus 4. And then we have negative 6 equals a times 1 squared minus 4. So that's negative 6 equals 1a. So when you square 1 squared is 1, and 1 times a is 1a, or just a. And then minus 4. Now we solve for a by adding 4 to both sides, and negative 6 plus 4 is negative 2. So now we can take our a value of negative 2 and replace it here, and we can write our equation in vertex form. So our equation will be y equals negative 2 times x plus 5 squared minus 4. All right, so in number 11, you're asked again to write the standard form of an equation of each parabola. Now, the reason we're going to use the standard form is because we are not given the vertex, but we are told that it passes through 3 points, including 3, negative 17, 10, negative 10, and 5, negative 5. So we are going to have to use the y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. Now, in each one of these points, we have an x and a y. So we're going to write an equation for replacing x and y for all 3 of these points. So we're going to have 3 equations, and we're going to have to solve a system of equations. So here you can see the 3 equations where I've replaced y. So for the first point, 3, negative 17, I wrote negative 17, which is y, equals a times x, which is 3 squared, plus b times x, which again is 3, plus c. And then I did the same thing for these 2 points. Now I'm going to go ahead and write these equations as a system of equations that I can solve. So here's my system of equations. 9a plus 3b plus c equals negative 17, which I got from here. 100a plus 10b plus c equals negative 10, and 25a plus 5b plus c equals negative 5. You notice they all have a 1c, so it'll be real easy to eliminate the c variable so that I can get a system of equations which only 2 variables that I can then manipulate to eliminate a common one of the variables to solve for the other one. This is a review of system of equations that we worked on last 6 weeks. So I'm going to start by combining the first 2, but I am going to multiply this the first one times negative 1. So that what ends up happening is I have a minus c and a plus c that cancel each other out. So right now I'm going to rewrite this one by multiplying times negative 1. So that's going to become negative 9a minus 3b plus 1c, minus 1c equals positive 17. Then I'm just going to bring this one down. So I end up with 100a plus 10b plus c equals negative 10. So again, I'm eliminating the c variable, and I'm combining these first 2 over here to see what I get. Okay, so you can see now I have a 91a plus 7b equals 7. I have 2 variables. Now I'm going to do the same thing to get another equation with just the variable a and b by eliminating c. Now in the first one, I used these 2. So now I'm going to need to use this one. And I'm going to do it by using the bottom 2. All right. So that's the one I'm going to work on now. And I am going to need to multiply. I'm going to multiply the second one by a negative. I'm going to multiply this one by a negative 1 so that the c's cancel out. All right. So I'm just going to bring down the first one, or I'm going to just write this one just as it is. So we have 100a plus 10b plus c equals negative 10. And then when I multiply -1 times these terms, I'm going to get minus 25a minus 5b minus c equals positive 5. And now I need to combine those. Okay, when I did that, I got this equation, 75a plus 5b equals -5. Now I need to take these two and try to eliminate either the a or the b so that I can solve for one variable. So when you see these two lined up together, you can see that the easiest route would be to cancel b. But I have a 7b and a 5b, so I'm going to need to multiply by 5 and by 7 to make this a 35b, and I need one of them to be positive and one of them to be negative. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply this one times a -5, and I'm going to multiply the bottom one times positive 7. When I do that, we get these two equations, and you can see that my b is going to cancel when I combine them. So we get 70a equals -70 once the b's cancel, and then of course to solve for a, we're going to divide by 70, and we now see that the a variable equals -1, and that's important. So now we can take a and we can plug it into any of these equations that has an a and a b in order to solve for b. I used this equation here, 75a plus 5b equals -5. I replaced a with -1, so 75 times -1 is -75, and then plus 5b equals -5. And when I worked out that equation, I see that b equals 14. Now I know what a and b are. I can plug them into any of these equations to determine what c is. So when I plugged a and b into this first equation, and I worked that out, I see that c equals -50. Now I have a, b, and c, and I can go into my standard form of the equation, ax squared plus bx plus c, and replace a, b, and c, and I will have my equation y equals, a is -1, so we'll just call that -1x squared. B is 14, so plus 14x, and c is -50, so minus 50. That is the equation in standard form of the parabola that goes through these points. All right, and number 12, again, we're writing the standard form of an equation of a parabola that goes through these 3 points. Now, this one looks difficult on the front end because of these numbers. However, the fact that we have an x of -2 and an x of +2, this one's going to cancel some things out for us, and it's going to be a little easier. Let me go ahead and set it up for us, and then we'll get started. So here I've just written all of the equations in y equals ax squared plus bx plus c form, the standard form, by replacing the y and replacing the x's. Now I'm going to go ahead and write these out as equations that we can set up as a system. So here we have our system of equations, and I need to pick 2 equations to cancel out the c, and then use the third one that I didn't use with one of the others to cancel out c as well. And I'm going to start with the first 2, and I'm going to multiply the second one times the -1 in order for the c's to cancel out. So you see here, I rewrote the first equation, and then I wrote the second equation after multiplying by a negative. So I got -4a, and then -2b minus c equals -4. Well, now when I combine these, notice that the a's, 4a minus 4a, cancels out. The c cancels out. So I'm left with an equation which -4b equals -64. Well, now I can simply solve that for b by dividing by -4, and b equals 16. Okay, now that I have b, I still need to use this third equation in the system with one of the others in order to cancel out the c. But then I'll be able to plug b in, so let me show you what that looks like. Okay, so in this system, I did use this third equation that I hadn't used, But then I went ahead and combined it with this middle one here that I also, again, multiply by -1. So it's the same here. So when I combine these, let's see, I end up with 21a plus 3b equals -36. Well, because I know b equals 16, I could substitute that in here, and then I can solve this equation for a. So you can see I worked out this equation by plugging in 16, and I realized that a equals -4. So now I know b and I know a, so I can go back up to one of the original equations, plug in the a and b, and determine what c is. So after plugging in a and b, I'm able to determine here that c equals -12. Now you know your a, b, and your c, and you just write your equation in standard form. Ax squared, that's -4x squared, plus bx is plus 16x, and then your c is a -12, so -12, and that would be your equation.